Alright, hello again to anyone watching these Kaijudo videos. Today I'm doing another match. This time I'll just be doing solo commentary, unfortunately, but I will just be covering the match that I played against Darksigner at the start. This is actually the first match of the that I played, and same with Darksigner. So I will see his light or water fire nature regeneration deck in action. So again, I've talked a lot about this deck already, covered it in a match, talked about it in the preview video, so I won't go too in depth, but it's just basically just a corrupted deck, or got some corrupted stuff, got a little bit of edgy stuff, just splashing the Blitz Commandos and Steam Tanks to make some really nice swift regeneration plays in the late game to make a big push. Pretty lean list, looking to set up Bad Apple primarily, and then maybe build up a board, go for a Finbar, and then again cap off with regeneration, and then Seneschal can kind of function as a similar card to Bad Apple and Finbar as well, while also offering some protection to your corrupted. So just a nice list overall. And on my side, I am of course playing the Nature Light ramp. So 43 card list, just lots of ramp, lots of shield blast, and then lots of big light creatures. So just a really streamlined list as well. Again, if you want to see more specifics on the deck list and things of that nature, please go ahead and check out the preview discussion video that I did. As for the matchup going in, I think both of us would probably have agreed that I was the favorite in this match. I mean, just Andromeda and Haven can be difficult to attack through, even if you do resolve a swift regeneration. I have a lot of ramps, so I can race pretty effectively, and then get up to that mana pretty quickly. Things like Lemon and can do a decent job just getting in the way of his pretty anemic creatures and then just walling out for a while. And yeah, just overall, I mean, I think just the light stuff, like the big creatures, they do a good enough job just stabilizing me, and then it can be a bit difficult for his deck to get through. I mean, if he has a really powerful start with a Bad Apple and then a Finbar, that can definitely start getting the ball rolling for him, and then like a really well-timed Finbar in the mid game can do a good job burying my deck. So if he can have a progression like that is probably what I'm most scared of, and then especially because that Finbar usually sets up for a regeneration and that kind of combination, but that's sort of what he'll need. He'll have to have the higher ceiling draws from his list, which is one of the problems with the Water Fire Nature deck to begin with, is just it can be a little underpowered, especially if you don't have the best draws, and this is a matchup where he's really going to need to have those best draws. Against weaker decks, the Water Fire Nature deck can look even better because your subpar draws all look better, which is, I mean, that's just what happens when you have a little bit more of an underpowered deck, which I guess is also something that happens when you don't play light. So yeah, going right into the match, we will have I believe Darksigner actually wins a die roll here with the very strong 20, chooses to go first, and as you see his opening hand, unfortunately no Bad Apple, no Finbar, no regeneration. He has no water mana to play the Renegade either, which is kind of tough for him, unfortunately, but he's got the Pineapple as a 2-drop. Maybe he draws a water mana to play the Renegade later, which is, there's a logo scan. So this is actually a very interesting turn for him, so we'll come back to that. But for my situation, I mean, my hand is just pretty straightforward. I'm just going to be charging a lot of these big expensive Shield Blasts, casting my Sprouts. Lyra's a nice card in the mid game. So yeah, my hand is just pretty fine. And yeah, so Darksigner has a very interesting decision here about how he wants to play this hand, because you can obviously drop the Logos down and play the Renegade, but he would want to hold that Logos so he can dig for a Bad Apple. The problem is if you just charge the Renegade this turn to set up for Logos, even if you hit the Bad Apple, obviously you haven't developed your board, so it's not even that powerful, right? So yeah, it is kind of an interesting choice. Do you want to just charge the Logos and hope that you raw draw into that into something to pay off your progression? And it looks like Darksigner opts to charge the Artichoke, play the Pineapple, which just gives him the body. And this is kind of a speculation as well, because it lets him sort of see how his hand develops. Like if he draws something like a Trickster, or just like any random water mana, and like a Trickster would probably be the nicest, because then he can probably just fire off the Logo scan. Um, yeah, if he draws something like Bad Apple, he could just go ahead and charge the Logos and then just play the Renegade. That's pretty good for him as well. So yeah, this just leaves his options open a little bit more. If he whiffs on water mana or something like that, he can also just charge the Renegade and then try to maybe play the Logos next turn. So yeah, it's just interesting. I think getting the body down is just better than just like aiming to cast the Logos next turn and then try to find the apple and then you play your pineapple the turn after that. It gets kind of awkward. I think just speculating that turn makes a lot of sense. And then on my side, I just fire off the Sprout. Very reasonable. Here he draws Steam Tank, which another card that you could consider holding. Because he's got his fire unlocked, that could be a card he just keeps to play. I don't know. I don't have a ton of great answers to Steam Tank, but except for Lyra, but I am packing those in my hand already, so it's definitely not going to line up too well against my draw. So it's for the best if he doesn't charge it, but there's a consideration, or if it's for the best that he does charge it, but it's a consideration to potentially keep that. Again, he could just charge Logos, play the Renegade this turn, and then hope to draw the apple off the top, but I think he's still kind of probably wanting to cast this Logos scan. And he can do so by charging the Renegade next turn. And then again, he still keeps that untapped water mana, so if he does top deck the Bad Apple, he can cast it by charging Logos. So yeah, I think it makes sense to charge. You could hold the Steam Tank for potential plays just to run it out there and be threatening some fast attack, powerful plays. But being a tapped mana means if your hand develops such that you don't really want to do that, it's just going to be kind of a liability in your hand. Because ideally, you probably have better stuff to do than be casting this card. But maybe I'm just saying that because I see the Lyras on the other side. But overall, it seems like kind of a risky thing to go for. And the Root Trap, you probably want to hold it. I mean, I think Darksigner will hold this just to answer, ideally, the first Andromeda. Like, if you can push through that first Andromeda, shutting off the Awe Strike, it does come up a lot in this matchup. So having the answer and holding that Root Trap for later down the road makes sense as well as a long-term kind of plan. So he opts to charge the Renegade this turn. I suppose that makes sense, yeah. Yeah. And then I draw Reap and Sow, which is great. So now I just have, I mean, Sprout Reap and Sow is always a great draw. Holding on to my Lyras. And I find a lemon. I keep a lemon over a Lyra. Yeah, it makes sense, I suppose. Nice to have access to a blocker. And Durian, unfortunately, I mean, yeah. You could, since you've kind of held this Steam Tank, you want this Durian to end up in your mana at some point anyways. I could see charging it here, but then you also want to get the multi-civ out of the way. But at the same time, I mean, Steam Tank could be just, again, it could be a card he just goes for to cast next turn, but it seems like he doesn't really want to take that risk in the face of something like a Lyra. So he just chooses to keep the untapped mana with Durian. And unfortunately, just not great stuff. Like, he hasn't seen any of the power cards in his deck so far. None of Finbar, Regen. Obviously, Regen's not going to be relevant for the foreseeable future, but still a card he would like to see one at some point. And then, of course, Bad Apple. All three of those cards are kind of MIA right now, so this is kind of one of the flaws with his deck, where you just kind of draw all these 2-drops and you draw Shield Blasts that are kind of reactive, but yeah. Or like sometimes they have proactive uses, but definitely not when you aren't drawing the more important cards. And yeah, just another 2-drop. So yeah, I play the Lyra. Charge the Lyra, which is interesting, I guess. Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't charge the Lemon that turn. Maybe that's an argument to just hold the second Lyra, keep the Lyra over the Lemon off the Reap and Sow just to have the untapped mana. So that might have been a mistake, because then I could still have 2 Lyras. But Lyra at the same time, not the strongest here. But it's nice to have the lemon, and just being able to sprout speeds me up. So I think I like the decision to just keep the lemon. Overall makes sense. And then now I guess I'm thinking about attacking the pineapple, whether I want to put him up a turn in mana, because I mean, if I'm scared of regen, I feel like he's been holding some cards for a while. If I'm scared of regeneration, like I don't have an Andromeda yet or anything like that I can get into play first. So I don't want to give him, I don't want to shorten the length of time between him finding regen, but at the same time, I mean, a Finbar here would be really bad for me, and just getting a body off the board I think is really important. So yeah, I think that's overall probably, maybe, I don't know if I thought about that too long, but yeah, makes sense to just get rid of it with paying good respect to Finbar, which unfortunately for Darksigner he doesn't have. It would still be very strong here. Just draws another. Yeah, his draw has just been really unfortunate this game. He maximizes his chance as well. Like, he even held that logo scan, speculated on it for a while, made a point of resolving it, and deck hasn't really rewarded him for that line of play. So yeah, I think you still want to hold the root trap. Durian, I like that decision as well. You want to charge this at some point. Yeah, just so you can get it in your mana zone, because being able to, it's not the most relevant against my deck as it is. It's not as relevant against my deck as in perhaps other matchups, but being able to throw out the Durian plus Steam Tank play to keep yourself alive, definitely strong. My deck has a lot of outs to that with Tendril and Root Trap, but still a line of play, and just throwing it out there, probably not for the best, especially because he wants to probably be able to charge it in case and that's like maybe the bigger consideration too. He wants to be able to charge it in case he top decks Swift Regeneration this turn, and then still save that Root Trap. So yeah, we're just cruising. The Helix top deck by me was also very strong, because obviously I just get a hold on to this Haven, and then I'm just kind of cruising here. Just draw an Andromeda. So my deck is giving me everything. I mean, I just had, Darksigner's just sitting on Root Trap. I think when he passed that turn, I literally called out loud that he had 2 Root Traps in his hand while we were playing on the voice chat and stuff. So I guess good call by myself. But yeah, Finbar here just not. If he had that a turn or two before, it would have been really nice. But I mean, still good here. I think you just make the attacks. He's giving me some cards, but I mean, he just get the draws. Like, he just wants to dig through his deck, try to get any number. The more shields he can get rid of, the better, because that's less shields that he has to deal with down the road. And when you're facing an Ostrike, I mean, less shields is really relevant, because each shield is taking 2 attacks. So it's way easier to break a shield now than later when an Andromeda's in play. Even though he's got 2 Root Traps still, it's something you probably want to consider. And then I think, I think I remember he said he messed up the order there, because he still wants to attack with both, but obviously if he attacks with the Trickster first and I just block that one, then both end up in his mana zone. So this line of play kind of ends up leaving him potentially a mana short the next turn. Still no regenerations. And here I just slam out the Andromeda. Makes a lot of sense. And then here I'll fast forward. I think for a while about how I want to approach this. I don't know. I have a lot of trouble picking my spots against these regeneration decks when I want to go in, because it's so easy for them to just play a regeneration and then buy another turn. And I could wait till next turn, but he's just seen a few cards. If he finds the regeneration, it gets pretty awkward. Like, if he just finds the regeneration off that, then he stays alive. I mean, it's not even that good. He's breaking shields. I'm pretty secure because nothing really happens the turn he regenerations, and it's not till the next turn, in which case we're talking about chaining them, which is reasonable off the back of a Finbar. And since I've already kind of made the read, he has Root Traps. He's going to untap and be able to maybe Root Trap the Andromeda. So Eh, but I have the yeah. It's just I mean my hand was pretty bad. Like the Storm Sparks and Helix aren't doing anything the turn following this Andromeda. But presuming he maybe breaks one shield, I get a card. So I can see why I think it could go downhill based on my hand after playing the Andromeda, and I just want to get the game out of the way. Just put him down to 0. But like, it feels like putting him down to, if you're not just going for kill shot, it feels really weird. Especially when I have a Haven out, it's pretty easy to set up a kill shot at some point. My position is relatively secure at the moment. Again, it can go downhill pretty quickly if he's chaining regenerations, especially, yeah, I mean, with the inactivity of my hand. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. It's just really hard for me to pick my spots. I haven't really ironed out that whole thought process, and I'm probably not smart enough to do it on the fly. So, something I definitely have to take a look at more in depth on my own time, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, it's fine. And then this is just ridiculous. Like, still has not seen. I mean, he's seen half the cards in his deck. No regenerations. Um, Not that, of course, regeneration's guaranteed to get him out of anything, but yeah, the fact that he had that, yeah, the root trap. I mean, it's just, yeah, if he just regenerations here, then like I'm kind of in the same spot that I would have been if I just didn't attack. Except, I don't know, maybe playing passively, I just think I'm gonna get my thing root trapped, and then I'm top decking at that point. And then, I mean, this Verdant Helix is kind of slow. It buys back the Andromeda, but he's got the root trap. Like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, it worked out, whatever. I won't overthink it here, but it feels like that was probably bad, but well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, Darksigner just his draw was pretty clunky that game. So overall, didn't really. Yeah, my deck just gave me a much better hand. Didn't really see what we needed out of his deck. You need that early bad apple. You need that Finbar to put on the card draw. The Finbar just came out too late, but it still was powerful there. You see the power of that deck and just being able to have these creatures that die and go to mana, and then yeah. So that was game one. So game two, kick it off. I believe I choose to go first, and here kind of ridiculous. We go from 0 regenerations in the first game to 3 regenerations in the opening hand for Darksigner. So I'm not sure what exactly went through his head at that time, but I can't feel like he was maybe too pleased. Um, but at the same time, I mean, knowing that you're going to be able to resolve them is pretty powerful. So I mean, it's not even actually that bad, and he's got the bad apple. Like he's got a much better hand this time around. Um, Best case is you just draw some untapped mana, and then just on turn 4, like a couple running untapped cards would be nice. So he doesn't have to charge one of these, and then bad apple plus just a pineapple. My hand, I mean, I've got sprout into reap and sow. Or why did I say I was going first? Yeah, Darksigner obviously goes first because he lost the game. Ugh. So yeah, that's a nice time to draw the multi-civ. Just get it out of the way so he doesn't have to draw it next turn. Chooses not to attack, which I like. I mean, there's an argument to maybe put on the pressure, but you just don't want to lose. Like, breaking an Arbiter, just you lose that. Yeah, like, Arbiter is just something you want to play around. I mean, Root Trap, the thing is my Shield Blast, like, Storm Spark, you would happily break there. Root Trap and Tendril Grasp are annoying because you don't get the initial proc off Bad Apple. Same with, I mean, Arbiter, they all do the same thing there. Yeah, they all do the same thing there. So, I mean, it's not the worst if he just breaks a Shield Blast. But, yeah, drew running cards. Had to mana one of the Finbars. But, and here comes the Arbiter to tap this down. So I did have it. So it would have really delayed him. But, I mean, still killing the Pineapple gives him the mana. And then he would have drawn Finbar. And it would have been, he would have been able to go Bad Apple. And then Finbar back the Arbiter. And then it would have, his hand would have probably shaped up fine anyways if he had poked that shield. But now I have just like the ridiculously funny play of just energize for the the kill on the Bad Apple here. Which, I mean, the power doesn't come up too much, but when it does, it's pretty sick. So Yeah, that's just a funny. I mean, I could have still just ripped off the Verdant, but that seems kind of like, I mean, you just take that opportunity, obviously. So I think honestly, it might have shaped up better for Darksigner if he had just poked that shield and broken the Arbiter first. Obviously, getting hit by the Energize there was kind of random, but an interesting decision there. I choose not to take the shield because when he just passes there, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I don't know if I read at the time that he had like specifically double regeneration. It's probably a good read to make though. I mean, like if he just doesn't charge, like it's very likely he has one because he charged one in the opening hand, which should be something I'm keyed into because I'm familiar enough to know that. Like if shouldn't ever really charge the first regeneration you see when you're playing this deck. So the fact that he does shows that he has one, and the fact that he doesn't charge means the second card has to be important, which means it's probably the second one. So I should definitely be. I don't know. Yeah, I want to give myself credit to say I knew that, but maybe I didn't. And regardless, even if I don't know it's double, like I definitely choose not to block because I don't want to see that. And I want to be able to like him to be regenerationing after I've dumped out an Andromeda or something along those lines. So because I've got this quick access to Verdant Helix, like I can just wait that turn, let him develop his board. I'll take the shield now. No reason to block there. I think blocking there would be pretty bad. Darksigner could have just sucked it up, charged the regeneration to set that up. But it feels, I think from his side, I think he probably correctly understand or acknowledges the fact that he probably can't beat my deck with just one regeneration. So yeah, even if he gets that regeneration under the first regeneration under an Andromeda, I mean it's an interesting discussion. Like he would need to have like a good follow up because he has no sustained cards. He's dumping out of his mana zone with no reason. Yeah, I mean the regeneration's not even good. What am I saying? Yeah. Like that's one of the arguments for forward blocking is the regeneration is not doing too much, but it's pretty easy for that to change. Like you could just draw, charge a creature. Yeah, I mean it's just a steam tank, so it's not even the worst. But I think still like you don't want to. Yeah, I think overall like I still want to be getting that Andromeda down first. And yeah, because the regeneration's not too powerful, I think it makes a lot of sense that you like if it was a really nice, like it was like Blitz plus like double Renegade or something like that he could dump out before the Andromeda comes down, there's a potential argument to try to resolve to guarantee that regeneration comes down by charging one. So I think that's the only case, but because it's bad, it would be a bad like a pretty mediocre regeneration. Yeah, it would just be like getting out of Finbar, which is just not particularly exciting because it's just kind of mediocre anyways. I think just playing for the longer game makes a lot of sense there. No reason to rush it. Yeah. Because like even if I blocked like that's one of the interesting things is even if I blocked the pineapple with the lemon, I feel like he would just probably just slam this Logos anyways. Like he would draw, he wouldn't even regeneration this turn. He might just straight up Logos. Maybe that's wrong. Nah. Because it just like as it currently stands, like the first regeneration doesn't chain into the regeneration, and yeah, he does. I mean, he slams the Logos this turn, which I think is again an acknowledgement of how his regeneration is just not very strong at the moment. So he wants to find more cards, develop his mana zone and his battle zone before he gets one of those off. Because I think as it's shaping, it looks like most likely this regeneration is just going to be a Finbar. In which case you want to Logos, build up that field. So yeah, I think that play makes sense from him as well. Again, an acknowledgement that the mana zone's not too strong. Yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, he probably Logoses even if he had 7 mana. He probably wouldn't just charge and play the regeneration. So again, playing for that longer game. Because it's just not getting him anywhere if he just slams one. And he attacks again, and this time I think again, do I want to keep him off regeneration? Do I want to block? I think with the Andromeda coming down next turn, I feel happier about just clearing the bait. But he can't. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just a weird thing. I think this one I block, but it's like at a point where, well, because I know, like, because I'm dropping Andromeda next turn, like Andromeda plus Full Metal insulates me a lot from the first regeneration. So I'm not too concerned, and that I can follow that up with either a cast or a Haven. So yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, I'm secure enough to just clear the creature off the board. So if it was like, yeah, if he happened, yeah, it just makes like Finbar worse if you maybe happens to draw that or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah, always tricky. But yeah, here, I mean, just one more shield is gonna matter a lot. Again, it's kind of what I was talking about before. Once I have Andromeda up with that off strike ability, just an extra shield is pretty potent. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, it might have just been, I think it was maybe just looking at his mana zone. I don't know if I love the judgment call to take the first hit, to be honest. Like, I think the way his mana zone was shaped up, I think I probably should have just eaten the creature. But I'm not too confident on that. In hindsight, that could definitely have been the right play, though. It might have been fancy play to let that through. But yeah, this turn I dropped the Haven and not the Andromeda. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's weird. I guess just like protecting as many shields as possible this way. Because if I just play Andromeda, I have the one blocker, and then he's like getting through for at least a shield if he can regeneration for 3 creatures, which I mean he can't really even do looking at his mana zone. So it's like I feel like I'm like just playing this game and not even looking at what his mana zone actually is. So I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Just spend the full. I mean, it's mana efficiency is kind of a relevant point, anyways, because we're talking between 9 and 10 mana when I already have it all unlocked, and I don't have any 1 mana cards in my deck, so seems like a moot point there. Here, I play the Andro. And to be honest, this looks like a turn. Maybe I was just supposed to stay on the Haven train. Because again, like yeah, just drop the Haven and pass. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is so bad. Yeah, I don't know what the heck this attack is so bad. Like, my position is so secure here. I have Haven. Like, this is just so easily game in so many ways, like, going into the next turn. If I just drop that Haven, I mean, it's not, like, guaranteed, because obviously, like, I maybe wait another turn past that, but if I just drop Haven here, his regeneration's not doing, like, anything to crack through that board. And then I can cast his board down the next turn and keep him locked down. Maybe I want to play the Andromeda because he's got a Steam Tank in play. But, like, what's he doing realistically speaking? So, yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, this is so bad. Like, the only way, like, I just have to ask myself, like, how is he breaking my board? And the answer is, like, how does he get through this? Well, he needs to cast Root Traps and Tendril Grasp to get rid of those Full Metal Lemons and get that off strike off the table. So, like, I don't hate that I play this Andromeda instead of the Haven. I think I'm probably going to play one into the other and then go for the game after that. So it doesn't really matter which one comes down first. Maybe you want to play the Haven first. I don't know. Well, you can discuss that however you want to. But, like, regardless, ask yourself how he's breaking through that. And the answer is these shield blasts. Like, the answer is shield blasts. So why am I attacking his shields? Because he can't, like, his regeneration, he's just passing. Like, he's going to be in a point where he has to play defensive regeneration, which he doesn't have access to until I give him this Sumo Artichoke, because he hasn't seen a Durian yet. So his, like, Cryon Durian isn't even live. So yeah, that's not happening. Um, and yeah, so if he can't regeneration and root trap in the same turn to clear that Andromeda. He can't go regeneration plus Tender Grasp to kill your Full Metal Lemons and also get Ostrike off the table so that he can actually break shields. Like, my position is so secure because his regenerations do nothing. He has to go regeneration into Shield Blast spell. But how do I break that paradigm against myself? Oh, I just break his shields and give him 0 mana spells. Like, that's a really smart idea. Just let him cast those cards for free. That solves all the issues that he has with how he gets through my position. Like, it's actually just so bad. Like, I don't know. Like, I talked before in the previous game about how I think I'm just like overthinking these spots in a ridiculous degree. Like, it's the previous game, it made sense to some amount because, I mean, like I said, my hand was kind of passive. I wanted to try to close that game before it got out of hand. I don't know, maybe there's merit, maybe there's not. But this game, I have Cass and Haven. Like, it's so easy. Like, obviously, if he does regeneration and I want to go for game, if that Sumo Artichoke and Shields, he stays for alive. And then maybe it goes downhill because I tried to go for game. But I could just wait out the regenerations. Like, I could actually just do that. Like, I could just drop this Haven. He regenerations. Maybe I don't have to go for game. Like, why am my position is super secure. Like, he regenerations again. I have Cass. I have, like, my hand is so, like, it's perfectly set up to just answer whatever he does. Like, I have the follow, like, even if he regenerations next turn, he has a board. He can't get through. He passes. And then, like, let's say he can't even regeneration back to back necessarily because he won't have really the mana. So, I mean, maybe if something changes, yeah, I mean, he's gonna have extra cards, so he can probably do it back to back to some amount. But even still, like, I just play another big thing, keep in the way, even though his board's bigger, and then he regenerations again, and then his board's bigger, but he's still, and then I can just cast his board. So then by the time he gets around to like casting the root trap to get rid of Ostrike, I mean, I've cast his board. Like, there's just no thought. There's no, I don't know. I'm just sitting here. Like, there's obviously thinking. Or actually, there wasn't any thinking. I just attacked. Like, ridiculous. Like, this play is so bad on a lot of levels and shows, like, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, but not thinking. Well, I don't even know if you can. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's just ridiculously bad. I don't know. It's like one of those spots you get into and you want to think about it, but there's just like no real thoughts happening. So I'm like, I guess I'll just do something, and then I don't. Just so bad, just so bad. Because now he's just got clean. Like, he's just got oh man, like, now I have the Sumo Artichoke, so I can't die unless you have a root trap, and now I can just break all your shields, and back-to-back regeneration is looking pretty sweet here. So bad. Yeah, like, like, my deck gave me everything I needed to win this game. So clean, and yeah, it's just insane. Insane. Yeah, so now Darksigner's thinking here. I mean, unfortunately, like his deck is just not treating him very well. Maybe this is a problem with the Shield Blast spells when you have so many of them. Obviously, they're relevant. We've been talking about how they're something I've just completely played into. But I mean, like, they're definitely good. But when he has like the 3 logos and like 6 Shield Blast spells and the Artichokes, I mean, his regenerations are noticeably maybe weaker than they otherwise would be if you're playing like a full-on veggie deck. But maybe that's not the case because realistically, like, I mean, Turnip's not changing too much here, right? Because Turnip's just not, yeah. I mean, Turnip's not really. Yeah, I don't think so. Because, like, the cards I would replace for these things, I mean, maybe if you're talking about something like Aqua Chaser, I mean, that's pretty relevant. Like, especially if you're following up the regen, but you already have Finbar, so Yeah, I mean, maybe these could be something that helps your regenerations be live a little bit more often. And yeah, just reduce the spell count a little bit. Yeah, Aqua Chaser would definitely be sweet because gives you a little bit of play. Like you could do your Steam Tank this turn plus a 2-drop. Next turn you would follow up with like Blitz plus Aqua Chaser, and that gives you an interactive card plus like an extra body. Because Finbar, when you're getting out of regen, gives you that interactive card to like sustain the protection ability on your Artichoke to keep yourself alive. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, I mean it just gives you more options. So I could definitely see wanting to do. I mean, this is just one game where we're seeing this, so I don't know. It could be an overstatement, but like I like the logos, I like the Shield Blast spells, but maybe a little bit of trimming on some of those elements. But I mean, at the same time, I mean the regen's still very good here. So I mean, maybe there's nothing really to say. Yeah, probably good enough. But I mean, it was weaker in the early game. But yeah, like a few card choices probably aren't impacting that too much. But here, I mean, just very nice. Gets to just break 2 shields, draw 2 cards. I mean, what's not to like about that? So, oh yeah, Darksigner just does it in a weird order. I believe he's attacking it. Yeah, he just taps the creature first as part of the process. But yeah, pokes, and again attacks with his Seneschal. So he gets 2 attacks through. And I mean, he's set up really well here. Obviously, I've got good stuff going on. And what do I do? Redundant Tendril Grasp. Obviously, I wanted one to answer a potential Durian, which means like Root Trap answering the Artichoke. If he has a second regeneration, which I probably have to believe is coming at some point, given how this game played out in the early turns. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I'm adding the second one. Yeah, because I only have to deal with one more turn of regeneration regardless, which is going to be the next turn, if anything, and I only need 1 Tendril Grasp for that. So yeah, the redundant one's not doing much. Here I Root Trap. I Reap and Sow. Potentially, if I hit a Root Trap here, I basically win unless his last shield is the 3rd Artichoke, which is obviously not particularly likely. So go for that, and if I miss, I drop something, which is the Cassiopeia. Yeah, I mean that's like the intuitive thing, but maybe is there something to think about there that I did not think about? I mean, dropping the hate. I think I did think about it. Did I think about it? Yeah, I mean if he just removes, so yeah, I mean what am I thinking? Oh yeah, obviously that's right. Yeah, because if he just Root Trap, or if he just Finbars the thing, and then he has 5 attackers, and then I have, yeah, I mean I have, maybe that's not true. Yeah, no. Makes sense. I mean, maybe that is bad. Yeah. Yeah. Because if I Haven this turn, even if he answers, like if he does something, I mean, he can make a big push, right? Like he can, but he has to like Awestrike to make the push, right? And if I think like the regeneration's coming down and he's gonna like maybe regeneration the Finbar to bounce back that Andromeda. Again, he's got 5 attackers, but I would have 3 blockers. And he breaks 2 shields, and then at that point, if he had the second regeneration, well, the other thing, yeah, because he has to Finbar, because otherwise, like, the Awestrike means even if he gets out 3 creatures or something, then, yeah, that's still only 3 attacks to 3 blocks, which means he doesn't break any shields if he doesn't get rid of the Andromeda. So, yeah, I'd be down to 2 shields, at which point I can just cast, and then again, I can cast the following turn and get rid of everything. I guess the thinking is I have Tendril if he goes super wide anyways, but Tendril obviously gives him a bunch of mana, so maybe it is better to, because Cast is a more powerful stabilizer, but it's doing, at this point, it's as good as, about as good as Haven. I mean, it's better against Haven, conserving shields this turn. But yeah, I could drop the Cast the following turn after maybe taking a hit, and then if we presume his mana situation is going lower, then like best he can do is maybe play, I mean, he could still play like 3 creatures to my 3 blockers. Yeah, and he's not getting through. Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. I think just slamming the Cast here as a default was maybe a mistake. Yeah, 2, and then he's got 5 dudes, boom. No, because yeah, he just gets a Finbar, stays at, yeah, I mean, he could drop like 4 dudes, but that's pretty ambitious. And then, oh yeah, but he's Finbarring this, so like I can, well yeah, if I don't cast, I mean, I can replay it, so it doesn't get him anywhere. But I kind of have to cast instead of replaying this, so I cast. I don't know, it's weird. I could definitely see that being a mistake. Have to think about it more. In the moment, it's kind of weird, but yeah, it feels kind of unintuitive. But yeah, I don't know. I think Cass is like a bit better at down the road. Yeah, I don't know. Because I'd have 1 shield, 2 havens, and an Ironwood tree. And like, there's no way he can put out like 4 things, even off 8 like, or 5 things. Wait, 1 shield, 2, yeah, 4. Yeah, you need like 5 things. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I think leading Haven there is maybe better. Definitely, maybe better. And then, yeah, yeah, that might have been a mistake there. Probably a mistake, actually. But interesting. And then here the regeneration comes down, pretty self-explanatory. It just fills the board. Actually, or yeah, I mean, yeah, it just goes wide. Yeah, just trying to break shields here. This does less of a good job. No, it's fine. Yeah. It hurts his chances to play the second regen, which he kind of needs to do to stay alive, most likely. Or what am I saying? This is his last regen. Yeah, just trying to break as many shields as possible here, I guess. Because like the Finbar doesn't really do anything. So yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, the Finbar only does something if I had played the Haven instead, but yeah, obviously like another Cassiopeia would be, I guess, pretty good here because now he's down to only 6 mana. Root Trap still on the table as a card that could potentially win me the game. As I have the Tendril Grasp and I can just clear both the Durian and the Sumo Artichoke. And then, oh yeah, here he just poked the last shield, and I was legitimately thinking about blocking, which seems kind of dumb. I feel like it's probably a mistake for him to attack, just because it's like it gives me the ability to like make the decision in terms of whether I want that extra card or not. Because again, there's lethal cards that I could find off the shield, where there's potential for me to lose. I mean, the lethal card would be a root trap, which would be nice to have in shields next turn if I can't kill him. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, conserving this in case it's a Storm Spark also makes no sense to let this through. Arbiter would be a great card to have in shields next turn as well. So just protecting my potential shield triggers. It makes no sense to try to take this to potentially find find an Andromeda or find another Cassiopeia or find a root trap. Again, it doesn't make much sense to let that through. I don't know. Just overthinking, just taking the chance. I mean, yeah, he gave me the attack, the what's it called? He gave the cheeky attack, so I gave him the cheeky overthink to spite him, I guess. So here, yeah, I just tendril everything back. Is that good? I mean, what was the math? Like, if I had just played the Haven and dumped all these cards down, had 4 blockers in play to his 7 creatures. That's like 6. He needs 7 attacks to get through, and he's got 7 creatures. But realistically, that's like 4, and off 6 mana, the best he can do is like bounce the Ostrike. So then I have 4 dudes. 4 dudes to his 7. And then, yeah, that kills me. If he just goes Finbar, because then he has 8 dudes. Yeah. Yeah, I need a trigger. Yeah, this makes sense, but it gives him lots of combinations, I guess. Alternatively, I could have just Helixed to return. Yeah, because I'm going to cast these 2 Ironwool trees anyways. Yeah, I mean, it forces him to have Tendril plus stuff to get through, or just like Finbar to bounce Andromeda plus multiple creatures to try to kill me, which he has. But yeah, I mean, this makes sense. It just forces him to have stuff, which he probably does. I could have, I could have gone for the extra blocker instead and like leave him with all those creatures. Just put like 4 blockers in a play by just going like get back Ironwool, Full Metal Lemon with his Helix, and then just drop 3 Ironwools and a Lemon. That gives me 5 blockers, so that even if he goes like, and then it keeps him at 6 mana with 7 creatures in play. So even if he goes like Finbar, bounce your Andromeda, he's at how much? 8 dudes to my 5 blockers, which kills me with no Shield Blast. So that's like basically the same thing. Yeah, I mean, this just forces him to have like multiple creatures. He needs a Finbar no matter what is going on, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So whatever. And yeah, because like Tendril Grasp doesn't even really do it. Like playing, yeah. Because I don't think Tendril Grasp gets there in any situation. So even just like dumping these, making his Tendril Grasp better by tendriling him first makes these blockers worse. But at the same time, the Tendril Grasp probably isn't getting there with combinations anyways, because him Tendril Grasping means he's not fin barring. So yeah, I don't know, kind of weird math, but I don't think there was like a better play. There were other plays to make, but I don't know. Could be wrong. Tricky. And here, yeah, I mean, Darksigner just thinks for a bit on how to find the best lethal here. Again, Tendril Grasp, I mean, you just play it plus a 2-drop, or 2/2 drops, but obviously that gives him 5 attacks to my 3, or he needs 4 attacks, but obviously with 5 attackers, that's only 3 through an Andromeda, and then I still have blocker 2 shields. So he needs 4 things to get through, so he's 1 short there. But if he just goes Finbar, bounces the Andromeda, that gets rid of the Ostrike, which is super crucial, and then he can just come over the top with the extra 2/2 drops. That's 6 attacks to my 3 blockers, which means barring a shield blast, he can win this game, which should not be a situation where entertaining whatsoever. I think that attack by me that I covered earlier was just atrocious and basically put me in this spot where I'm facing down a potential lethal situation, which was most likely avoidable with good play. So not too pleased with that, but again, yeah, Darksigner just thinking, talking through. Yeah, the Finbar is the best thing here. Yeah. Finbar is just so good. Just a great card. Just a great card, yeah. I think also discussing. I would fast forward, but unfortunately this thing I don't want to, I mean I could just click and rejoin, but we can sit here and stew as I stewed while I was probably unhappy with my play previous in the game, wondering how I am possibly dying. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the attack was really bad by me. The Cassiopeia might have been better to hold in place of this Haven for that previous turn, because then I don't have to Tendril, and then he doesn't have infinite mana. And his turn is probably worse here, and then I'm out of the woods. So I think, yeah, kind of tricky to parse through, but I think Cassiopeia there would have been better to hold, because Haven did a good enough job. Again, yeah, like Cassiopeia is a more powerful stabilizing tool, but on that turn, it was about as powerful of a stabilizing tool as potentially Haven. It did protect my shields, which means protecting those shield triggers are probably more valuable later, but yeah, because just poking for a couple shields, like if he pokes an Arbiter off the second shield, that feels really bad. So I think protecting the shields is an argument for for playing the Cassiopeia first. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it's maybe not clear cut, but I think that potentially was something that came to bite me. But yeah, so now just thinking about, I guess, optimal sequencing. I believe I had a Tendril Grasp left at this point, so yeah, just attacking with the early guys first. Obviously, I let this attack through. I think the longer pauses here where we were talking over voice chat, but obviously I let this attack through because after this attack, Tendril Grasp will no longer be a relevant Shield Blast, so I want to take the opportunity to have it exist in my deck as a relevant Shield Blast by being able to kill this Durian. So yeah, I'll just flip that one up, see what it is. It's a Sprout, wrong green trigger. And here I'm crapping my pants. Yeah, flip the Tendril off the top, so not where you want it. And yeah, so like any trigger wins me the game here because yeah, without the regen protection, there's no Shield Blast in his deck that'll protect him. So I just block, I guess, for... Yeah, I mean, I'm just wasting time there. That was a wasted effort. So, Oh yeah, just okay. Yeah, very unnecessary. Just a super slow roll. Let's just flip that guy up. Hurry up. Let's hurry the pace. Darksigner not even binning his creatures because he just wants to get it there. Not even bother. Okay, yeah. And here we go. Do we finally get to see what this thing is? It's the root. Okay, yeah, so just ridiculous. Like I deserve to lose that game. That play was so bad by me. But here I get bailed out by the last shield root trap. So I mean, in fairness, I mean there was a lot of things I could have seen. I mean a lot of those things I could have seen were in my mana zone as well. And I had the first shield, yeah, so in fairness I didn't deserve to see anything. So yeah, that first shield arbiter to break the bad apple and then or kill it with an energize, pretty dirty. My deck gave me everything I needed to win this game super convincingly after that. Unfortunately, I fumbled the bag, but fortunately my deck really did not want me to lose and said, hey, here you go, here's a root trap for your troubles. And Darksigner was unfortunately on the receiving end of such luck sackery on my behalf. So yeah, unfortunate for him that game went the wrong way. I mean, game one we saw, I mean, yeah, his deck just did not perform for him. 0 regenerations, 0 bad apples in the early relevant turns. The first power card he saw was a Finbar, probably 2 turns too late. And game 2 here, I mean, he saw more of the good stuff. He saw that turn 4 bad apple. Unfortunately, not the optimal, like he didn't have the dude into bad apple, which is what you really, really hope for. But he had dude into bad apple, which is fine. And he was able to follow that up. I mean, it was still clunky though, right? Because he had those awkward, the middle stages didn't come together. Like I was kind of saying before, I mean, this game shouldn't have been this close, right? Like my poor play made this game look a lot closer than it should have been. And yeah, if I had played better, it would have been a lot more convincing, and I think that's because it's kind of what I touched on earlier, where his deck really needs, like, it needs the powerful, it needs that bad apple, it needs the Finbar, and it needs the regeneration. It almost needs all three for it to really look good enough, because we saw, like, game one, he just didn't have the early game and couldn't really do anything. Game two, and, like, yeah, and he just assembled his late game way too late. Also didn't see a regen. Yeah, I mean, game one was kind of ridiculous. Game two, he had like a fine early game with the creature and a bad apple, but missed that bridge. He missed the Finbar to kind of go in between the regeneration. And I mean, a substitute for Finbar could have been something like Seneschal plus Trickster, which he drew into off the logo scan, or just like Seneschal plus 2-drop, something to go wide with. Which again, it just didn't really come together in a not clunky way for him. So yeah, kind of what I touched on, where his deck really needs to kind of go the right way to have a chance in this matchup. But yeah, I mean, regeneration, we saw how powerful it was and what it can do if you have the ability, or if you get to a spot where you can leverage it. I mean, just staying alive, does a lot of stuff. So, I mean, still showcase some of the power of his deck, although it showcased some of the flaws as well. But yeah, overall, an interesting match. Yeah, so it was fun to cover this one. Thanks to everyone for watching and staying tuned to these videos. Hopefully I'll get some more matches down in the line with, of course, ideally with more guest commentators on and such like that. But I figured I might as well just cover some of these matches as well on my own, just to get them out there. Showcase as much as I can of the decks and the plays and all that sort of stuff. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next few videos. Bye.